This is a bad sign. Trailer's hooked up. Why is the trailer hooked up to the Dodge? Why is the big trailer hooked up to the Dodge? Why is the one with the winch on it hooked up to the Dodge? Are we on some sort of stupid rescue mission? Probably. It's time for Dirt Daily, and I am headed down the road with a trailer hooked up to the back of my tow rig and a little bit of money in my pocket, and I'm probably going to come home with something I really don't need. But I think it's a good deal. I think it'll be cool. I think you will like it. I think I will like it. I will probably fall in love with it. I am trying to tell myself I'm going to get this thing and I'm going to spruce it up a little and then send it down the road to somebody else. But I also know me, and me is very emotionally, and me becomes emotionally attached to vehicles that he doesn't need. Because me is a big dummy. Let's go see what I found. All right, I'm going to break in here for 1 second. I realize a lot of you are probably watching this video because of the thumbnail and because you really want to see a crusty old truck that has been parked for a long time and is covered in bird poop get pressure washed and cleaned and detailed. Well, here's the thing. For the next hour of this video, I'm going to work on this thing, work on making it run. But I know a lot of you just are here for the visual satisfaction of seeing a very dirty truck get cleaned. And I appreciate that. I also feel this satisfaction when I see something that has been covered in dirt and grime get cleaned and returned to like pristine, almost brand new condition. So I'm gonna do something for you. You can jump ahead from the video, from right now, you can jump ahead 1 hour and go directly to the cleaning stage of this truck. You can bypass all of me working on it. If you're into what are the steps to try and make a vehicle run again after it's been parked for a long time, then just keep watching. But if you're only here for the satisfaction of seeing a grimy, crusty, old barn find get turned into a beautiful, pristine, like new truck, then scroll forward an hour. Like, go to the 1 hour mark. It'll be right about there that we take this thing and get it cleaned. Or just stick around and watch all this stuff and learn. And maybe you'll have some pointers that I didn't even think about. All right, back to the video. Look at this. This is a 1989 Toyota Land Cruiser, the last of the leaf-sprung Land Cruisers that you could buy in the United States. This is also known as an FJ62. Now the FJ62 series Land Cruiser has leaf springs, square headlights, automatic transmission, and this one in particular has 189,000 miles. It was a one-owner barn find, and it was not on my bingo card. I was not looking for one of these. I've never really been like, I gotta find an FJ62. But somebody reached out to me and said, hey, buddy has this Land Cruiser he wants to get rid of. It's in his barn. He needs it out of there. It might have a blown head gasket. And I was like, nah, I don't really need this. And then he told me a price, and I was like, that's a pretty good price. And I said to myself, it's probably blue or gray. I don't really want it if it's blue or gray. And he sent me a picture, and it wasn't blue or gray. And I was like, all right, I'll come get it. This thing has been sitting in a barn since 2017. So 8 years this has been on non-op. In the state of California, if you don't drive a vehicle, you can non-op it, which means no fees are incurred, and you can just let it sit. And it has sat and been pooped on by owls. It is covered in poop. There's poop all over the roof, all over the hood. But as I walk around it, it's pretty solid. It's like amazingly solid. My brother had one of these years ago, and his kind of rusted out in the back because it was an East Coast truck. And I was like, you know, I like Toyotas. I have a couple. I have Clampy, my dirty 80 series, and Ponscum, my 4Runner. And I wasn't really looking for another Toyota, but this is a pretty good one. And I dug that it wasn't blue or gray or any of these dark, boring colors. It's pretty nasty, but I think it's going to clean up into something really cool. And it's a barn find, one owner, which is like kind of the holy grail these days. This is what everybody wants. What am I going to do with it? Well, I have to figure out if it really has a blown head gasket and if it really needs to be rebuilt or just have a new gasket thrown in. So I don't really know. I'm not 100% sure what the next step is, but I'm going to, I had to get it. I had to rescue it, and I think it's really cool, and it's not in terrible shape. And California one owner, barn find, pretty neat to find. So, the interior is actually pretty good too. It's not completely roached out. There's a dash cover, there's seat covers. I think it's just filthy. So it's gonna need a complete cleanup, but I need to decide if I'm going to do that first or just try to get it running first, and then we'll take it and get it detailed. It's pretty ratty, but it's pretty cool looking, and I like the fact that it's a barn find, and as you saw, it came from a barn. So, yeah, that was today's rescue mission. I have other projects that I need to be working on before this, but I couldn't let it go. And I think the problem is like when you have like a little bit of discretionary funds and a truck and trailer and space to park things, stuff like this just comes home with you. Let's check it out. It's beautiful. So you can see square headlights, known for the FJ62s. An old set of BFG tires. Not terrible shape. Leaf springs tucked up under there. Leaf springs suspension. The whole rocker panel is pretty solid. He's like, oh, there's a dent. I don't even know if you can see the dent. Like the dent is like barely perceptible. It has the original Toyota spare tire. Like it's probably never been dropped. And look at the exhaust. Like the exhaust doesn't even look like it's ever rusted out and been replaced. This was a one owner car. How's the inside look? He put these seat covers on, which is great because that means that the seats are like in perfect shape. Filthy, yes. Probably had some mice living in here. But like the headliner's not drooping. There's not a sunroof, which is also a bonus because sunroofs in Land Cruisers always seem to leak. Automatic transmission, which isn't really a deal breaker. I think for a good price, it's worth it. The manual's probably got a little bit more power out of the engine, but I'm not going to complain. I can't complain. I cannot complain about this at all. It's such a good truck and so solid and just covered in cobwebs. So many cobwebs under here. But I can't imagine this thing has ever really been off-road. Look, original mud flaps. It's so good. The hood, the hood and the roof is horrendously covered in poop. This will make a really good pressure washing video. I bet a good pressure wash and detail job and this thing would be back in great shape. Maybe it's ruined the paint, maybe it's protected it. This is a fuel injected engine. It should be a straight 6. And it would need smog in California, but pretty unmolested. Probably never really been modified or changed. All the little bits are still here. So I think this was a killer deal. Even like the engine, like the hood cover, still in good shape. So it is going to need a serious cleaning, but I'm pretty stoked on it. I got the Land Cruiser home, and I know I promised that I wasn't going to work on it. I have other projects to work on, but then I was like, well, maybe I could just get a new battery for it. And if I'm getting a battery, I should pick up some oil, maybe drain the oil out. So I have a new plan. I'm still not going to work on it, but next week it's supposed to rain, and I really want to get it. I really want to film it getting detailed, and not even so much detailed as much as like just getting it clean. Because I don't know if you've seen those videos where people detail and pressure wash barn finds. It's so satisfying. It like makes you feel so good to see all the grime kind of pressure washed off. And I'm not a clean car guy. I'm like, most of my stuff is dirty when I drive it around. But I think this thing will look really cool after it's been really scrubbed down. And so I found a guy that's going to help me with that. I'm not a car guy that I like to clean cars. I hate cleaning cars. I'll pressure wash them, and then after that I'm like, let somebody else do all the polishing and the super vacuuming and the shampooing of seats. It's just not my thing. I'd rather change the oil, put a battery in it, and then figure out why it doesn't run, or if it does run, and if it does have a blown head gasket, because that's the whole thing. The truck was parked, the Land Cruiser was parked because it had a blown head gasket, and I was able to get it because it's been sitting for a long time, and they think it has a blown head gasket because it had coolant in the oil. So I'm going to drain the coolant system. I'm going to drain the radiator, drain the engine. I'm going to drain the oil, change the oil. I'm going to put a new battery in it. And I think I'm also going to try and pump the old fuel out of the fuel tank, so that if it's like old stinky gas that's turned into shellac or whatever, if I can pump it out and replace it with fresh gas and some of this like sea foam stuff, hopefully I can run clean fresh gas through the fuel pump and not have to replace the fuel pump. Basically what I'm trying to get to is make it run so I can back it off the trailer and drive it into the detail shop, so that once it's there, the guy can move it around as needed. That's my goal. Worst case, we have to push it around. But I'm hoping that battery, oil change, fresh gas, old gas out, maybe even a new fuel filter, a new oil filter, get all that stuff in the engine, and then it should, if we don't drive it very far and we don't overheat it, like if we're literally going off the trailer into the shop and then out of the shop back on the trailer when we're all done, and it runs to do that, then I'm not too worried about it getting too hot. It's better to drive it with coolant, but again, if I have a blown head gasket, I don't want to do that. So let's get this thing together a little bit, drain the oil and start fresh, and then hopefully she's ready to run when it goes to the detail shop. I didn't go with any sort of AGM fancy gel battery on this one. I just got a regular old lead acid battery. And I did that because I've been buying all those really nice fancy batteries from like Odyssey and Optima, and they're expensive, and I just wanted something simple and kind of cheap. And this one wasn't cheap. I mean, nothing's cheap anymore. I think I went to the auto parts store and spent well over $250 for oil change and battery and fuel filter and all that stuff. But I guess that's the price you pay if you get a cool old truck. The battery's in. I'm not going to hook it up 100% until I drain the oil, drain the coolant, and try and pump the old fuel out of the fuel tank. I just don't want to try. I want to try as much as I can not to run old fuel through the fuel pump, because that will surely end up in it being clogged up, and then I'll be dropping the tank, which I'm probably going to be dropping the tank and replacing the fuel pump. That's what I do. That's my thing, apparently. But if I can do some preventative steps before I do that, maybe I'll get lucky and it won't need a fuel pump. But it probably will. Oh well, even if it does, it does. Let's get a drain pan and drain some oil. I want to pull this lower radiator hose without totally wearing all of the coolant, which I have a feeling is going to be hard to do. This doesn't even really look like coolant. It kind of just looks like water. But still, I don't want to wear it as much as it's probably going to get on me. There it goes. That wasn't very much, and it isn't very clean. Like, it's filthy. The prior owner said that the oil had coolant in it. Man, there's a lot of spider webs down here. So when I crack open the oil pan, I have to watch and see if a bunch of coolant comes out, or just a little bit, or a lot, or what. What in the world size? I feel like this should be all metric, but oh boy, oh boy. I just lost a, oh, come on. What in the world is going on here? I think I just lost the socket I needed. I heard it roll away, and I don't know where it went. Let's see if we can find it. Probably under the... Oh, there it is, in the back of the trailer. Why is this oil pan bolt so tight? Guys, come on now. Somebody tighten this thing up with an impact? What it feels like. Or it's just boogered up. Yeah. Guys, come on now. Why would you do this to me? This thing looks like it has had sockets hammered on, and now I'm not sure if it's actually gonna come loose. Oh boy. Oh boy. There. Got it. Got it. All right. Let's see here. We're gonna undo this and see if we get oil or coolant, and then we'll probably have to go get a new drain plug before we put oil back in it. But that's fine. We probably want this thing to sit and drain for a while to get whatever mess is in here out of here. Oh my goodness. That is like not just milkshake, it's like thick ice cream soft serve. That is some of the grossest oil I've ever seen. Holy mackerel. Look at that. Like usually if there's coolant in the oil, the coolant will go to the bottom, the oil will float on top. This is like not even milkshake. This is like thick syrup. Which, I mean, maybe the oil and coolant has sat together for 8 years, but you would think over 8 years it would separate. I have to do a little bit of research on what this sludge is. Holy mackerel. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that come out of an engine. That's like what would come out of a differential. Yikes. Look at this. The drain plug is all, it's like it's been taken on and off with vice grips. The threads are not too bad. They're a little boogered up at the end, but the hex on the top is roached. And it's not an Allen bolt, it's a regular hex bolt, so you can't put an Allen wrench inside there to get it apart. So I'm gonna go replace this. I'm gonna go find another one. And while I'm out, I'm gonna let the engine drain its syrup out. It's still going. I have no idea how long this is going to take, but that is a big mess. So while I was draining the oil out of the engine, I came back here and I stuffed this fuel hose into the fuel tank and hooked up this electric pump and pumped this stinky old gas into this 5-gallon bucket. And then I had an idea. What if I take this stinky old gas and put it in the engine and just let it kind of wash down through and help flush some of that sludge out? And so I put the oil plug back in. I went and got a new drain plug, and now I'm going to pump gas into the engine. Don't do this. This is probably a bad idea. But I think it will help, at the very least, kind of clean everything, flush everything down to the pan, and then I will drain it again. I'm not going to crank the car over. I'm just going to use it to kind of wash through everything. In fact, I'll probably do it with gas, and then I'll do it with diesel, and then I'll finally actually put oil in it. All right, putting this fuel line into the engine. I have a fuel pump here in my hand. So, old fuel through a filter, through the fuel pump, hooked up to the battery, fuel line running up here, dump it into the engine. Again, not doing this, not going to run the truck, not going to run the engine. I'm just doing this to kind of fill up the oil pan and flush all that sludge down and help clean the engine before I do actually put oil in it. So it's kind of like, we'll see. The worst case, it just kind of washes everything down and I replace it all with fresh, clean oil. There it goes. So I know that this system is supposed to hold 8 quarts. So I'm not going to put that much in. I'm only going to put maybe a gallon. Oh boy. You guys, someone's going to be mad. They're going to be so mad that I did this. But I don't know, I think it's good. It's just gonna get in there and lubricate everything. Flush it all down. I'm gonna let it sit for a few minutes. And then, actually I might run to town, let it sit for like 15 minutes and kind of work through everything. And then I'm gonna run to town and get some fresh gas to put in the fuel tank and also get some diesel fuel. Because I think after we do this once with gas, we'll do it again with diesel. And then after we do it with diesel, then we'll put oil in it. A little bit of fresh gas. Now I haven't cranked this thing over yet. I haven't even turned the key on to try and listen for the fuel pump. But I did pump what I thought was all of the old gas out, at least as much as I could get. And now I'm putting 5 gallons of fresh gas in so that hopefully the fuel pump is still good and it's not sucking nasty old varnishy stinky gas, but it's sucking fresh clean gas. Which, cross my fingers, that means that hopefully that'll help the fuel pump actually work. Oh, and I have some of that seafoam stuff. I'm gonna dump that in here. And I ran another few gallons or a gallon or so of the stinky old gas into the crankcase. So I already drained it once. I'm letting it drain. I'm gonna soak it up again. I'm gonna drain that out. And then we'll put some diesel and oil in there. And hopefully then I think we will actually crank it over and see if we can pump that diesel oil mixture through everything, drain that, and then put fresh oil and fresh oil filter in it. Here's the thing. Most of the time I get an old truck, I don't do all this stuff. I just put the battery on and crank it over, see if it'll run. But I'm trying to do it right, or at least what I think would be right, using the gas to flush all the scungy old oil coolant mixture out of it, the old gas. Then we'll flush that with diesel, and then we'll finally get fresh oil. Is this going to make a difference? Probably not. It's like a Toyota Land Cruiser straight six. They're basically a Chevy straight six, and they're bulletproof. Other than them probably has a blown head gasket. Seafoam, high mileage. I don't know. Snake oil? Maybe. Make me feel good? Probably. Only use a little bit? No thanks. Gonna use the whole can. What's it made of? I don't know. Hopes and dreams. Thoughts and prayers. Okay, we have gas and we have seafoam in the tank. In theory, when that sits in there for a minute while I'm messing around with all the oil stuff, it will lubricate the fuel pump, and then when the fuel pump gets keyed on, it'll run perfectly, send fuel up to the front, thing will run awesome. Cross your fingers. It's only been sitting 8 years. Let's drain this old scungy gas out one more time. Put some fuel in the Land Cruiser. I have a 7-gallon bucket of sludge, which is nasty old engine oil mixed with coolant and mixed with old gas. And there was actually some other stuff in this bucket before. It might have been diesel or gas, I don't even know. So I got to deal with that. That's the fuel that went in the tank. Here's a thing I can put in dirty old oil in. I drained out the second round of nasty gas, so I got to deal with that. And now I'm going to move on to the next step, where I'm going to fill the crankcase with motor oil. I have 15W40 diesel motor oil, I have 10W30, I have 5W30, I have a thing of tune-up in a can from Gumount. So I'm going to put all this garbage in there, and I'm also going to top it off with diesel fuel. And the idea is the diesel fuel will help clean out all the gunk, and all the oil will give it lubricity, and then I will hook up the battery and see if I can crank this thing over. No coolant. I think it has fresh gas. I did not change any filters. I did not change the fuel filter or the oil filter. I have new to do with all of that, but I will do that after I get this pumped through it. My idea is, it had that sludge in it. I flushed the sludge twice. Well, I drained the sludge, flushed it twice with old gas. Now I will refill it with this cocktail and run that for 5 minutes, maybe, if that. I don't want it to get hot because I don't have coolant in it, but just enough to kind of run it through and get it kind of lubed up and see if it runs. See if the fuel pump runs. I have a new fuel filter and a new oil filter, but I will change that after this step. So let's top her off. All right, let's see if we can dump some fuel in this without making an enormous mess. What's that? Maybe a gallon? Let's check the dipstick. Oh yeah, we're good. We got it on there. Plenty, if not too much. I realized after I did that, I probably should have put the diesel in first, because I put the diesel in after the oil and I may have kind of like washed the oil down. But look, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. So what I'm gonna do now is hook up the battery and then crank it over, and at the very least it'll pump all that stuff through, and maybe it'll kick over if the fuel pump works, which, cross your fingers, it actually works. And I think I may even do this a couple times. I may crank it over tonight and then let it sit, come back later, crank it over again. I don't want the engine to get hot, but I want it to kind of pump all this diesel oil mixture through everything and try to clean it all, and then drain it again and actually put oil and a filter in it. And even that might be getting thrown away, because if we find out that it really does have a blown head gasket, which it's kind of looking like it does, then we'll probably be starting from scratch. But at the very least, we're kind of getting all that sludge kind of cleaned out of the engine, and it should maybe run enough to back it off and get the thing cleaned before we actually dive into fixing this problem. It's so fun. Old trucks are fun. Oh boy. I have a feeling that when I crank this thing up, it's going to make a horrific cloud of smoke. I don't really want to put the windows down because it'll drag all that bird poop down into the inside of the door. But let's see here. Let's turn the key. Crank the key. Oh, that's good. We got lights. We are in park. This thing's kind of wonky. Let's see if it cranks. That's a good sign. It is cranking. I don't see any lights. Like I don't see a the oil. Also notice the fuel gauge is still way down at empty. Oh look, here's a bug on me. I wonder if that's some sort of Land Cruiser tick. Let's smush it. Oh, the oil pressure light is, the oil pressure's going up. That's a good. The oil pressure's going up. That's what we want. We want oil pressure at the very least. I don't hear a fuel pump running. There's a thing that's beeping because I have the key in and the door open, but I don't hear the fuel pump running, which is not surprising because I always have to put fuel pumps in things. All right, this is what we're gonna do. What am I gonna do? It's not cranking. I mean, it's cranking, it's not firing up, but it is getting oil pressure. But it also, oh, the fuel gauge, oh, hold on, look. So right now, the fuel gauge is way down by the E. And then when I turn it to there, it does come up. So it is recognizing that 4 or 5 gallons that I put in there. And we are getting oil pressure. At least we were. Yep, the oil pressure is going up. So that's good. So, in all likelihood, we need a fuel pump. And I just say that because it's what I do. I put fuel pumps in things. It's kind of fuel pump every day. What I could do, I could put like a little blast of starting fluid in the intake tube and then crank it over and see if it starts. I hate doing that. It's not really good for engines, but it would at least tell us if it's a fuel issue. And maybe it'll even like start running. Sometimes it does. It's rare. All right, let's get some starting fluid. I hate to do it, but we're gonna do it because I'm crazy. Okay, put some starting fluid in it. Oh, where did I put the key? Why did I take the key out? Oh boy. Oh boy. Here it is. Crazy. Look at that. So that tells me let's do it one more time. I took this wing nut off right here so I can spray right down in there. Now, the idea is, if that fires off, which it did last time, that means it'll run, but it's not getting fuel, which is either fuel filter's clogged, not likely, but possible. Fuel pump is dead, most likely, and possible. Or it's not picking up fuel, but it is reading fuel. It's just really, really low. So I could dump more fuel in the tank. I have another 4 gallons I could dump in there. I don't think this engine has a fuel rail that I can like check, but maybe I'll look and see if it does. But it's cool. We're getting places. We're learning things. And at the very least, we'll push it off the trailer and get it detailed, and then I'll make it run after it's clean and tidy. Because as beautiful as it is, it's kind of scungy in here too. All right, let's fiddle faddle around with some other stuff, and then take it to get cleaned. All right, one more time. All right, so here's the situation. Every time I turn the key with the door open, it beeps. I put 9 more gallons of gas in the tank. Well, not 9 more, I put 4 more. So it's 9 gallons of gas in the tank right now, which I can turn the key, and that tells me 9 gallons is roughly, well, E. 9 gallons still doesn't really register very well up there. Oh dang, did you hear that? That time it almost started. Might have just been leftover starting fluid. Okay, here's the situation. I put an extra 4 gallons. I put 9 gallons of fuel in the tank. Barely even registers. Doesn't even register. I don't know how big the tank is on an FJ62. Maybe, I don't know, 20 gallons. And the reason I did that was, I guess I was thinking maybe if it had more fuel in it, maybe it would reach the fuel pump. Maybe there's some problem. But I now believe that the fuel pump is not working, and I'm going to have to drop the fuel tank, because unlike the FJ80, which I worked on before, my other Dirty 80 series that I have dropped the tank, or I was able to open that access panel and change the fuel pump, the FJ62 has an access panel, but I don't think it's to the fuel pump. I think it only is access to the fuel level, which would make sense because the FJ62 is fuel injected, and I think the FJ60, don't quote me on this, I'm not a super cruiser nerd, I have 2 now. I think the FJ60, the prior version with the round headlights and the manual transmission, was carbureted. And then they went to fuel injection, and they kept the tub mostly the same, and so they never had to have an access panel for the fuel pump in the tank. Long story short, I've added 9 gallons of fuel to the fuel tank at 6 pounds per gallon. That's what, 54 pounds. I've added an extra 50 some pounds that I now have to lower and hold in order to remove the fuel pump, in order to get fuel pressure, in order to make this thing run. Not a big deal, because hopefully when I'm doing that, I'll actually have it on the lift and I can lower it with the transmission jack. But it runs on starting fluid, which is good. It runs. It gets oil pressure. I've now pumped this oil, diesel, oil, snake oil stuff all through the engine. So hopefully that will lubricate everything as compared to that gas garbage that I had in there before. Do I get it running, or do I dive into this head gasket problem? I think I need to get it running first, just in case there's not a head gasket problem at all. I think there is, because there was that sludge in the oil pan. The part that confuses me about the sludge is that I thought it would have like water or coolant on the bottom and oil on top, and it was all mixed together, and it was like syrup. So that part's a little bit wonky, but I don't really think it's that bad. I think it probably needs a head gasket, and it's probably a head gasket that is just between the coolant and the oil, not into the compression side. Because when I got the truck and I bought it from the guy, they had done a compression test on it, and all the cylinders were between 130 and 145, which is kind of right where you want it. So unfortunately, I probably have to do a head gasket just to keep the coolant and the oil apart. Not unfortunately. I mean, that's kind of what I knew I was biting that off when I started. So, yeah, we messed around with it. We drained the garbage. We flushed the garbage. We added new, hopefully cleaner garbage, but we couldn't get the thing to start to actually really make it run. But we were learning that we probably need a fuel pump in order to make it run. Old trucks are cool. This thing's really cool. I really dig it. I can't wait for it to be clean and not so... I don't know what diseases you could get from bird poop. Oh, you want to see something cool? Check this out. These are called pellets. So pellets are when an owl eats an animal, like a mouse, a rodent of some sort. It like swallows the whole thing, digests it, but it doesn't poop it out. It regurgitates it. It pukes up this pellet, which is all the stuff that it can't like process. And I didn't know this, but apparently a lot of kids in school would get these in science class, and you would dissect them, and you would find all the skeleton of the mouse or squirrel or whatever it was the owl ate. And there was a bunch of them on here when I picked it up, and now there's maybe a half dozen of them. And here's where it gets really wonky. You can buy these on Amazon or on the internet. So I could pick all these up and put them in a Ziploc bag and sell them on the internet to science classes, where they would kind of sort through it, dissect it, and find all of the bones of the mouse. Which the whole thing sounds kind of gross to me, but I mean, hey, whatever you're into. And I really like birds, and owls are really cool. So that's kind of neat that there are these owl pellets on top of this. But maybe I'll collect them, put on some gloves, and put them in a Ziploc. And if any of you out there are science teachers and you need some pellets for your school kids, you can hit me up. Or I'll just throw them away. All right, let's pack it up and take this thing to get cleaned, and then it will be pretty and nice to work around, and then I can figure out why it doesn't run. Bye. I thought I was done messing with the fuel pump, but I found some information on the internet. I want to try one more thing. So back in the corner here, there's a little plug that says Diagnostics. Ow, come on. It says Diagnosis. And from what I understand, in one corner of the Diagnosis plug, there is a terminal, and if 12 volts goes to that terminal, it should turn on the fuel pump. So this is the little diagnostic port. It says diagnosis on top. And then you open this port up, and there's a bunch of terminals down inside there. And my research tells me that this upper right-hand side, this is actually right on the passenger side corner of the engine bay, underneath the windshield wiper, next to the windshield washer tub, tells me that in this plug, this upper right corner terminal is 12 volts when you turn the key to on. And the bottom right terminal, the one right down there in that corner, is connected to the fuel pump. So you want to get 12 volts to that corner down there. Now, you could jump it. You could take a little jumper wire and take it from that top right corner to that bottom right corner, and that should turn on the fuel pump. I am going to use power probe. The way the power probe works, if you don't know, this hooks up to your battery, and then when I push up, it puts 12 volts right there, and when I push down, it puts ground right there. So, and if I touch it against something, it'll tell me if it has power. So if I put this down in that top right corner, I'm getting 12 volts. And then if I ground it, you can hear it sounds different. Like I'm grounding it on a screw there, but this top corner has 12 volts. So what I want to do is I want to put this in this bottom right corner and then give it 12 volts. But I need the fuel to go somewhere to tell me if it's actually pumping. So I came down here, and this is the fuel filter. This whole canister right here. There's an inlet and an outlet on either ends. And I loosened up this banjo bolt. So this fitting on the back side of the fuel filter wobbles around a little bit. And now what should happen is when I put power to that diagnostic plug, which will send power down to the fuel pump, I should get fuel coming, kind of spraying or dripping or making a big mess outside of this banjo bolt if the fuel pump is running. So let's see. Put this in that bottom right corner. Give it 12 volts. Nothing. Not getting any fuel. So that tells me that the fuel pump in the tank is not working. There's maybe one or two other ways I could test it. Like I said before, there's not an access panel to the fuel pump to change it in the back of the Land Cruiser, but there may be an access panel to get to the wires. But at this point, I'm pretty sure that it's not working. We're not getting fuel. So I am going to wrap it up on trying to make the Land Cruiser 1989 FJ62 Land Cruiser run for now. I'm going to get it detailed, and then we will come back after that, after this thing's nice and clean, because every time I lean up against it, I'm probably getting some sort of, I don't know, African bird flu. So I'm going to leave it sit with that mixture of diesel and oil and snake oil in the engine, in the oil pan, and let it just sit, and then take the thing to get it cleaned up, which is what everybody wants to see. Everybody wants to see this thing get pressure washed and made spick and span, because it is honestly pretty gross. Look, somehow, so I think the guy must have had the hood open so that rodents didn't get into the engine bay, and because of that, birds sat all over it and pooped everywhere. Because there's poop down here underneath where the hood would be if it was closed. And then, of course, the hood is really filthy, but it's okay. Oh, and I picked all those bat pellet or owl pellets off of the top. So if you're a science teacher, let me know. This thing's going to be awesome once it's clean. It's just super filthy. But I think the paint's going to come back. I think it's going to get cleaned up and be beautiful. Okay, off to the car wash. I don't mind working on old trucks. I don't mind working on dirty old trucks, but I'm really not into cleaning dirty old trucks. It's just not really my thing. I can do it, but it's usually I just pressure wash it and kind of leave it. And I feel like this Land Cruiser has so much potential hidden underneath 8 years of bird poop that I thought, you know what, I'm gonna let somebody do this that does it for a living. I have other projects back in the shop that I can go work on while Jared from Cobra Mobile Detailing will get this thing spick and span. So that's my goal. And I know a lot of you want to see this thing get transformed, so that's what we're going to do. Jared is going to go wild on it. He's going to clean it. He's going to clean underneath it. He's going to clean the engine bay. He's going to clean the interior. Basically, I said, Jared, make this thing nice enough that your mom could drive it, and if your mom wants to camp out in it, it's nice enough that she could camp in the thing. I want this thing almost showroom quality. I mean, it is an old truck, but that's your job, Jared. Make this thing look perfect. Let's see what he can do. it's been a little bit since I've messed with the Land Cruiser. It's actually been 3 months since I picked it up. And I took it to the detail shop after I couldn't get it to run right. And then I've been doing a bunch of stuff. I sold a car. I picked up another car. I drove back and forth across America. And also in that 3 months, I went on an adventure with our friends at ARB, and I kind of told them about the Land Cruiser, and they were excited about it. Even though ARB makes a lot of stuff for brand new vehicles, Toyotas, Jeeps, and other brands, they still make things for older Land Cruisers, and they wanted to be involved with this project. So, even though it is not running currently, it is going to be at some events this year with ARB. It's going to be at some Overland Expos. We're working on having it at the King of the Hammers event. So things are moving really quickly on the Land Cruiser. I'm going right now to pick it up from the detail shop. The guy has had a lot of time to mess with it. I'm sure he's been working on other projects. I don't think he's only been working on this for 3 months. In fact, I'm sure he hasn't. But it actually helped me out a bunch too, because I didn't really have a spot to put the Land Cruiser, and I had all these other projects to kind of work on. I still have lots of projects to work on, but I'm excited to get this thing home and start putting some ARB parts on it. And well, let's go see how this thing looks. I bet it is 1,000 times better than it was when I picked it up in that barn. Dude, look at this thing.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's the same truck. Wow. This truck looks so much better. Jared did a kick butt job. it's amazing how much stuff is revealed when you clean off 8 years of owl poop. It's got a few little dings, a lot of scratches, and there's some stains inside that just were never gonna go away. But I'm super stoked on the job he did on it, and I'm super stoked that now I have a clean starting point. There's still like grease and grime underneath of it all, but I'm gonna be throwing this thing up on the lift as soon as I get home and diving into that fuel pump, and then we're gonna start bolting on all types of cool ARB products. I don't even know if I will have it running by the time it goes to the first event for ARB, but we're gonna get some parts on it and make it look cool, make it fit the image of the classic Land Cruiser, and we're gonna go have some fun. So I'm wrapping up this Dirt Daily. I think you guys have seen that we have a brand new project to work on, and it's going to be a project. We got to make a run and drive. We got to put some cool accessories on it, and then we're going to go on a fun adventure when it's all said and done. So that's it for this Dirt Daily. Tune in next time when we roll this Barn Find 89 into the shop and we can start transforming it. Later.